Sup YouTube, welcome back to another video documenting my journey to legend. Today's video features a really strong ABB line spearheaded by Sir Reginald with his two trusted dragons in the back in Derpnite and the Queen herself. Massive shout out to Burhan Shaw for originally recommending this team last season, and without further delay, let's get into these battles. I managed to use it to great success in the previous season. If you haven't checked out that video, check the link up above or I'll place it somewhere. This team was originally showcased on King's channel, except it was rocking a Swampert in the lead, but I feel like Registeel is a much safer lead, and here's example number one, exhibit number one. Your safe swap is Dragonite. Your safe swap will almost always be Dragonite. Obviously, we didn't safe swap this time, but it is your chosen swap in terms of Sableye, in terms of the Sableye matchup, because Altaria does lose that if you incorrectly call the baits in the twos. Also, if they land the return, they can farm you down, shield twice. And you don't want that to happen. We have a really good lead. All I'm doing here is just getting some damage off, and you're going to come back in with Reginald and hope that Altaria can sweep in the back. What is your biggest core breaker to this team? The Shadow Swampert or Swampert in general line with A9 or Shadow A9 in the back. The Alolan Ninetales, yeah, A9. That is going to be your strongest core breaker to this team. I don't have any battles showcasing that here, but I will get to how you should play around that team at the end of the video. And here, you know, Altaria's done its job. The tree is in farm down range from the Registeel. I don't think they're gonna let me farm them down though. They are gonna full send a Shadow Ball, which is the correct move, obviously. Shields are down. They don't let me farm them down. I throw the Zap Cannon in between their Psycho Cut to prevent any further fast moves from sneaking in, but also to hopefully get the debuff, which we do. Had we not gotten the debuff, this might have been dicier, but it looks like we did outpace to the next Moonblast, and I don't think a Grass Knot would have done it at that range, and we can safely farm down the tree before it gets to a move. Again, this team is really strong. Also, we hit Expert, so if you want to see a video on the team that got me Expert, just check out any of the other Dragonite Double Steel videos I have on my channel. Use that shit to climb in the Master League, because it is chef's kiss. So they stayed in for a minute to chip. We come in with Altaria. You don't need to shield the first Thunderbolt. However, I want to retain swap, and if they land a Thunderbolt, they can fight for swap, and I don't want that shit to happen. Now I can safely let this go down. I am at a shield disadvantage, but you're gonna see that is not gonna matter to the Shadow Dragonite lurking in the back. So they come back in with the Noctowl. I probably should have gone for the Moonblast. My fear was that if I went for the Moonblast, they would be incentivized to farm me down. So now, before I reach the next Sky Attack, they throw off their move. So a Moonblast would have done more damage, but I didn't want them to farm me down. They come in with Shadow Swampert. I accidentally threw the Zap Cannon, but it kind of helped out. Shadow Swampert can actually take you out in 2 Hydros. Shadow Swampert can take out just about anything with 2 Hydros, even the tree. So I throw a move before they get to their next Hydro to force them to make a decision. They decide to shield, and now I think I'm going to shield just because I want to close this game with Shadow Derpnite. So the Noctowl comes back in, and we go for the Superpower. A Dragon Claw would have probably KO'd, but the Superpower just secures the match. If you're enjoying the video so far, definitely leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. This is not how you should play this matchup. Your safe swap is Derpnite. I almost called him Derpizard. Your safe swap is Derpnite. Derpnite is a strong safe swap. You'll see in another matchup where I play this out a little differently, and we secure swap. So here I'm gonna have to go down shields, which isn't bad because I have flipped switch. The problem is that Charizard's gonna come back, and because it's a Shadow Charizard, it will be able to wing attack me down, which is freaking insane. I did not expect that, and this was obviously my first time playing it. So I didn't know. I didn't realize that those wing attacks are actually chunking, and you don't make it to another Sky Attack, even with proper timing, which kind of sucks. So I come in with Dragonite because I don't want to tank a freaking Blast Burn on the Registeel because they have no incentive to bait. They snipe me with a Chestnut, and unfortunately for me, they were ABA strong to a Registeel. I go for the Zap Cannon before they send off a move, hoping for the debuff. I think this might have been a misplay. I think I should have just gone for the Focus Blast, but even Focus Blast does maybe 20% more damage. I wouldn't have been able to farm them down. The Charizard was in farm down range, but I really don't. Maybe if I correctly shield up the first superpower. But again, maybe a misplay on my end. I might have been able to play it out a little differently. But still, 2 superpowers do basically KO. And the third superpower might have gotten me close if I had shielded the first one. So, Dragonite is your safe swap, but in this specific matchup, it's not a safe swap any longer. You have to come in with Altaria, because now that I've allowed that wing attack to go through, they will flip switch. If I was gonna come in with Derpinite, I should have shielded the first move and just played out the 2s, because I would have been able to farm them down before they got off 3 moves. Now, my opponent is gonna be an incredible savage. They're gonna bait me. Oh my god, that's fucking hurts. And now I can't shield this. I need to preserve shields, but honestly, in hindsight now, I should have shielded. That was my second potential way of winning this game, because they're gonna come in with the goon, and had I shielded that move up this massive amount of energy, I might have been able to at least chip the Ninetales enough where Altaria might have been able to KO with a Sky Attack. Stunfisk, this is exactly where you want to see it. You don't need to win this matchup. If you do, that's just icing on the cake. If you have a better Registeel IV than I do, mine is trash, you will be able to survive to the Rock Slide that they'll throw after this Earthquake. If you don't have a good IV Regi, then you will lose to a... you will die to a Rock Slide, but they can't farm you down. You will get to that Focus Blast before they do. And lucky for me, they threw immediately. They didn't overfarm. They didn't farm down. If they did, I would have just shielded, but I would have had a lot more energy. They come in with Sableye. Again, same thing. Just full send the Dragon Claws. I'm expecting another Ghost in the back. It's a pretty common ABB line. Lucky for us, this one beats that one. The only difficult Mon really to obtain on this team is Registeel. A good Registeel. If you don't have one, you can use Stunfisk. I don't like Stunfisk, which is why I like using Sir Reginald, the ice cream cone. Oh, it's not a Trevenant, it's a Lantern in the back. And as soon as they see the Altaria and we've chipped, they concede the match. So, how do you play the Charizard lead? You go into Derpinite. Derpinite. Shield the move. And if they stay in, then build up. And as you can see, they're already in the yellow. You will flip that match. And now you count to just before their Zap Cannon. You're going to full send the superpower. If they don't shield, which they don't, shield. Farm down. You will farm down even if you get the debuff. They go for the Zap Cannon, but even if you get the debuff, you will be able to farm down. And now you have all this beautiful loaded energy to throw at whatever the hell comes in. They allow the Charizard to go down. And yeah, they have 2 shields to their name, but we got a big buffy bird in Altaria and we win that game. So now, oh, this isn't the match. Sableye, swap into Dragonite. It has a much better matchup than Altaria. You will be able to farm this thing all the way down, especially the Shadow one. I like to throw just before they reach the next move to force them to make a decision, either get a shield back or go down 2 shields. I thought I could CMP, but there's really no scenario, unless you're quick as hell, where you can CMP tie on that next move. They come back in with Reginald, and because they show me the Registeel, I have no reason to let them farm me down. So I come back in with my own Reginald. I am gonna get hit by a Focus Blast. I don't expect them to catch, but I am gonna build up to the Zap Cannon. And as soon as I get this move off on the Regi, it's gonna be pretty much in farm down range for the Altaria. And then it's we clean house. I don't CMP tie there because I really like there's no way I'm gonna win. They were ahead of me in terms of energy. And now I can farm down with Altaria if they let me, but they don't. They come in with Noctowl, and I believe here's where I make another mistake. I go for the Moonblast when I should be going for the double Sky Attack, I believe. Let me see. Yeah, I go for the Moonblast. Go for 2 Sky Attacks. In the zeros, 2 Sky Attacks, you'll win. The second Shadow Ball will just about KO, and you won't have to make a fancy play like this. And the game was done, so I cut the match off. This is the battle. Lantern, Noctowl, and A9 in the back, which is a pretty shit team for you to deal with. How should you deal with this team? Tank the Thunderbolt or shield it, because usually they full send the Thunderbolt in the first match. full send the Zap Cannon, and then swap out. Swap into Dragonite, and they're gonna come in with the Alolan Ninetales. If they stutter for a bit, you'll have enough energy to full send a superpower. You won't get a shield, but you will be, the reason I say shield the first Thunderbolt is because you will be healthy enough where they can't farm you down. And at that point, you can, clean house with Reggie, and you'll have Altaria in the back to sweep both these other Pokemon. So you need some sort of advantage. So maybe don't use the shield. But as soon as they swapped into the Noctowl, I knew they had a better response. Maybe what I should have done was come in with Dragonite instead of sending off that move, store up all that energy, come in with Dragonite, and farm the Noctowl down, use a shield or two. I do save a Sky Attack, but I know the A9's coming. So I misplayed the beginning of this, not knowing the team. But once they showed me the Noctowl, they hard swapped into a Noctowl. I should have stored up the energy, tanked the Sky Attack, and came in with Dragonite. And we would have had that game. Yes, we're going to get a shield out of this because this is the hardest hitting move left in the game. But there is no way I win, and we two shield flex on our opponent for style points, so I guess that's something. And we take a heartbreaking loss. Next up, a normal Charizard. What do? Same thing, swap into Dragonite. Dragonite is your safe swap on this team. They don't let me get any sort of advantage in terms of like misaligning the timers or, getting energy. We full send the superpower, they shield back. Even if you get debuffed, you will still be a normal Dragonite, 2 stages debuff. And you're gonna count, you're gonna hope that you CMP on 16 or 15, because I don't know if a Focus Blast would take you out from that range. And at this point, they're low enough where I can come in with Reggie, farm them down, and guarantee my shield back. However, my opponent is not gonna let that happen. And now you come in with a big bird, and you proceed to decimate this Smaug. They are gonna get a couple of Dragon Claws off. Because they're not the Shadow, these Dragon Claws don't hurt that much. I am gonna shield the second one because I don't want to take too much damage, and I want to either force the second shield here or force them to decide what they want to do. They let it go down, and in comes the tree. Now, we outpace to a Sky Attack. Unfortunately for us, the timer is not yet up, so I can't swap out. As soon as I can, I swap out. They have already used their shield. They are at 100 energy, which means they need 2 more Shadow Claws, which means I would have beat them to that Zap Cannon. But my dumbass didn't throw for whatever asinine reason. We would have taken out the tree, and we would have taken out the Registeel, and we would have won that game. So be better than me, be better than the Gap. Medicham, you will have to shield once, but again, much like the Charizard matchup, shield once and then nuke whatever the f comes in. In comes Noctowl. They think they're in a good matchup. No, they're not. Throw just before they get to a Sky Attack. See what they want to do. They want to let it go through? Shield. Farm the f down. Why? Because you will be able to farm them down. Look at this beautiful 5, 6. Oh my God. Now you're 2 shields down, right? Some people might be scared of that. That's fine. That's okay. But not us. We already know what's in the back. It's gonna be a Shadow Charizard or a Charizard of some sort. And you're gonna come in with Altaria, and now it's just fast move damages. We did a 2 shield flex in a previous matchup. Now my opponent is gonna 2 shield flex on me, and we are gonna take this game to the GG. Sorry, I'm a little hyped because this team was actually really freaking fun. Definitely try this team if you have the Mons build. I've been dying to get a Shadow Dragonite with good IVs. I finally got him, Mom and Dad, and I've used them to great success, climbing all the way up to the 2800s. I've tried this team in the past in the 2400s, and I've tried this team now in the 2750-ish range. I think this is a really strong team. If you have the Mons available to you, use them. How do you deal with the Swampert Alolan Ninetales team? If Swampert is in the lead, safe switch into Dragonite. If your opponent is slow enough, you will be able to full send the superpower before they get off an Icicle Spear. If your opponent decides to farm down, send off the superpower, it'll do about 50-ish% damage, and then you're gonna come in with Registeel and commit to the most aggressive farm down you have ever done in your entire life, because you need a shield advantage against that Swampert. You're gonna full send the Focus Blast, hopefully get a shield advantage. If they let it go, it's GG's, because you have an Altaria that can hopefully clean house. Second case scenario, they beat you to the swap, they full send the Icicle Spear. You come back in with Reginald. You full send the Focus Blast or the Zap Cannon. They both do the exact same amount of damage. Maybe send the Zap Cannon to hopefully try to get the debuff. And then you commit to an aggressive farm down. Both those moves, I think, do about 50 to 60% on a non-shadow shadow, respectively. And then again, you're going to try to get a shield advantage against that Swampert and hope for the breast. Hope for the breast. Yes, aim for the breast. Always for the breast. My brothers, I leave you with this incredibly strong team. I hope you climb to great success. Let's make Dragonite great again, and I will catch you in that next video. Peace.